Okay, good morning or good evening or however you find it. This is Kelly Borsheim and I'm here in my little studio in the orange room of my house. And I'm working on this commission that's going to be in Carrara marble. It's for two sisters that I love in Austin, Texas. Beautiful ladies. Okay, so they wanted to show their sisterly love, and one of the ideas was let's do a barefoot thing with our heads together. And so knowing the taste of the art of one of the sisters, I thought, oh, she's going to like more abstracted kind of things. And so anyway, this is the maquette that I'm coming with. I haven't finished with the hair. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I wanted to show you some ideas that I had. I like triangles. And I like the idea of the flight, but also the simplification of the body kind of thing. And so I've kind of implied this, and then I wanted to get the legs here to get some rock and roll in, but also get some little feet. And what I'd like you to see is, I hope it shows up in the video. Oh, you know what? It looks like I moved it. Oh, no, maybe I didn't. I drew some pencil marks because the marble is actually quite narrow. And I've had this part here kind of, oops, I forgot to turn the video. I've had this part kind of in the warmth kind of slump off, so I keep having to push it up, and it's been changing my design. But I made the pencil marks here for the marble. But what I wanted you to see from this view is I made a curvy here, but it's not just a curve from this view, because you see I've got it going down, and then it's kind of an S curve. But I also wanted it to be so that when you look at it from this view, you get this point is actually not quite in the middle of the stone, but enough. So it's going to go back, come out, and then come back in again as it lets some of the flesh of the knee joint and the leg come below it here. So, and then also, because you're going to be looking down on this sculpture, it's going to sit on a coffee table. I wanted to make sure you could still see the faces even though you're here. So I'm working on right now the hair here. And okay, so here, to get to another composition thing, I wanted to make a little va-va-voom feminine curve. So, because again, the bodies are abstracted, but I wanted 2 feet. So this is the main foot coming out here. And then these are the little 2 feet for the body for this figure. And I put in a little bit of booty there because I like the va-va-voom. And this is a long shape, whereas this is a shorter shape. So I'm trying to make sure that there's enough interest that as I go around the piece, it changes enough, but still has a curve. I don't really want to have anything that's got a straight line or a boring line. But here I go from a curve to kind of make it straight a little bit as we go there. So anyhow, that's what I'm working on. Now what I wanted to show you is that when I have a commission, obviously I can start off in a random idea like I did with this one, and then before I get too far into it, but far enough where they can see where I'm going, because to be fair, it's really difficult for people to see inside the head of another human being, right? So I kind of got this just with some really kind of cartoony sort of heads to match my cartoony sort of feet, because the feet need to be large enough so that when the marble is set down, these aren't going to snap off. So because of the length of the feet here, that determined the size of the heads for me. Okay, and again, the main point of the piece is the love and affection between sisters, and they are very, very, very close sisters. So I wanted to make sure that everything that I did reinforced and went to them, because that's the idea. Okay, so one sister was given the string of pearls, and another sister was given the crucifix. So these are placemakers. Now, this is clay, and I want to say the thing is, this is a plastilina, which in this case it's tan AB 225, I think. This is a plastilina, which means it's a clay that will never dry out. It will never be a finished product. It's not like a water-based clay. This clay is based in wax. and I love it. I love it more than my oil-based clays, and it feels good on my hand, but it doesn't get too sticky. It's still like all of them that are temperature-based. It's too hot, it becomes soupish, and too cold, it's really hard to get it to move. So the main thing with making a maquette, or in Italian we call it Bozzetto, is before I start cutting into the marble, I want to make sure that if the head is going to be this tall, I don't cut too much marble when I'm doing this scoop of the wings, okay? So that's why I decided we're going to do this. Also, these faces are a lot more precise than I would have guessed, and because it's a commission, I don't want to screw up. If I'm doing my own work and I cut too much marble, then fine, I make a decision and I redesign, or I scrap the rock, or in the case of the dancer, I turn it upside down and try to make it into a whale. So it depends on what I can see in the rock. But in this case, I want to be very specific, and I don't want to have to redo the work. So in this way, the Bozzetto is a lot more efficient for me to try to get something and make sure I have something physical to show them. So one of the things that we got in this last round was that I need to put more hair, and I need to put the locks, as I did on the previous version of this maquette, make them in separate strips. So here I've started to add a little bit of more locks than what I had before, and maybe I'll put up some still pictures of the process of this. And now I'm going to work on this side to put in some more locks and things. Now, the thing that I wanted to explain about plastilina is that this is a medium tone, meaning it's not white and it's not black. It's mid-tone. And clay absorbs light. It's the main problem I try to explain to my students when I was teaching sculpture, that when you're making a clay sculpture to be cast into bronze, you have to consider that. Because here's a good example. Do you see this plane of light? How the light from the window behind me is touching this, and this goes down. Okay, I sculpted this using my favorite tool, which is just, to get my planes. I can also make curves from this, but I do this to work fast with things. However, if I cast this into bronze, which is a very shiny metal, you're going to see that this and this plane and this plane come out really vastly different than what they look like in the clay, because clay absorbs the light, and the bronze is a shiny metal. It's going to reflect the light. And when I carve this in marble, I have the different thing is that the marble that I'm using is going to be a white Carrara marble. That means that light is going to be bouncing all over the place. It's going to be difficult to get shadows like this in here, because the clay absorbs the light, but also it's a mid-tone, and so even if it reflected and bounced light around, it's not going to do the same in marble. So these are the things that I'm trying to consider right now. And also things like the necklace. I'm putting a place mark here, and I would probably carve the line around like this, maybe even a little larger than that, and I'm not going to cut into this and this until I have finished all the rest of the stuff. Same with this necklace. The necklace is not going to be that wide. It's just that right now I need a placeholder in the marble to make sure I don't take away too much marble. As I develop the piece, I'll be getting thinner, because I have to make each one of these into symmetrical pearls. They're not natural pearls. I have to decide, and for me that's a difficult thing, because symmetrical things are not my forte. My brain just doesn't do it. But anyway, I will do it for this. But I want to make sure that I have enough space, and I'm calculating for marble. So even on the heads, I may not be able to get these tiny little eyelashes and this tiny features like this, but I'm going to try it, because I've never done a sculpture this small with eyes open or mouth open. In fact, I don't usually like smiling sculptures, but I think it's because I've seen a lot of them in bronze in the Loveland art shows and stuff, and they just strike me as cheesy when you outline every tooth or something. But it can be done, and it is a legitimate expression, and frankly I liked both of them smiling better, because it's part of the love and affection idea. So again, reinforcing that. So right now I'm going to go and add some more locks of hair, separate kind of locks, maybe even cover one eye, because she does that when she wears her hair and stuff out. So we're trying to show the differences between the sisters, and also the connection, the love connection. So let's see how we go here. I hope you like the vavavoomie I'm putting in. Okay? Alright. Okay, I often do my bird's eye view, and I want to show you what I was doing with the design here. Do you see this? So the piece of marble is about 4 inches wide, and I've got an outline of the pencil right here. So this is right against it, because this part of the clay kept slipping and falling back. It was making it wider, so I kept having to pull it back and make it go straight up and down. But do you see this outline here? This is what I wanted to, maybe it's a little Star Trek-y, but I like the triangles and curves together. And so I didn't want this point to be parallel to this one, because one thing I find is a bit annoying is if you immediately look at something and you can imagine what shape of the rock was before the sculpture was made. So I was hoping to avoid a little bit of that. You may still be able to put this whole thing in a rectangle, but I don't think it's as obvious as it might be as if I had just done a point here and made it there, and you know. So anyway, I'm gonna finish the hair. I'm putting in more locks here, more, instead of one big mass, there it is, sorry, keep aiming funny, instead of one big mass as I had before, she asked me to change it and put back the way it was before, where I had done individual locks. Still groups, but smaller groups than just this one. So anyway, pretty soon, marble, yay. It's BorsheimArts.com if you want to see some other stone carvings and paintings and pastel. Thank you for watching. Stick with me. We're going to do this in marble pretty soon.